I'm State Senator Kevin Parker. Come on in, sis. I represent the 21st Senatorial District in Brooklyn, which is Flatbush, East Flatbush, Midwood, Dippers Park, Kensington, and Borough Park. I am the ranking member on energy and telecommunications in the state senate. I'm the majority whip, emeritus, and also the first vice chair of the Association of Black and Hispanic Legislators in Albany. And also the treasurer of the Council of Black Senators. And we've been able to do some really significant things. We got rid of the statute of limitation on rape. We raised the minimum wage. I'm not saying it's high enough, but we actually have the second highest minimum wage in the entire country behind Massachusetts, and theirs is only like, I want to say 10 cents or 5 cents higher an hour. We ensured every single child in the state of New York for health care is eligible for health care in the state of New York. Right? So very, very big things. We got rid of the Rockefeller drug law. Right? We created a green college jobs program that's going to retrofit 1 million homes over 5 years in the state. We created programs around net metering, which allows you, if you're doing alternative energy, to sell energy back to the grid. Right? And so, you know, there's a lot of kind of really, really good things that we've done. Let me just mention one last thing. I'm not going to want to know about, you know, some of the things, but, you know, last year we were able to do a domestic workers bill of rights. I actually want to mention 2 more things. The domestic workers bill of rights, which is critical in that it gives a group of our folks who've been voiceless access to some of the basic rights that we have. You know, if you work at McDonald's, you have more rights than people who are domestic workers in the state up until us passing that law last year. Right? And I'm talking about basic stuff like having a day off. Like literally, if you're a domestic worker, and maybe some of y'all, you know, I'm looking around here, some of y'all act like y'all don't know what a domestic worker is. Like some of y'all, you don't even say domestic workers. Well, right? My grandmother was a domestic worker, so I get exactly what this is, right? If you work for somebody, and if you sick, you still got to come to work, because if you don't come to work, you may not have a job the next day.
That's right, yeah.
Right? When you leave your house on Christmas Eve to go take care of somebody else's kids.
That's
right? You leave your child doing the laundry so you can go to somebody else's house and do their laundry. Right? So we actually gave those people some real basic rights, and that was a really important thing. The state of New York has the 3rd largest budget in the entire country, right? After the federal government's budget, which is almost $4 trillion. The state of California and the state of New York. Our enacted budget this year was $132.7 billion. Right? A lot of money. Right? And there's 2 parts of what I do around the budget. Right? The first part is giving money into the budget, making sure there's money for education, make sure there's money for healthcare, make sure there's money for public protection, make sure there's money for transportation, right? Right? Making sure that money is in those places. Once the budget is passed, then making sure that that money then goes from Albany to the communities of Flatbush, East Flatbush, Midwood, Dippers Park, Kensington, Borough Park, Brooklyn as a whole, New York as a whole, right? Right? Because sometimes when you're funding things, you're funding like education. You know, that's kind of a 2-part piece, right? Because we fund education, but once it gets to the city, we then got to fight the mayor to get it into our schools, right? Understand this. The state controller of the state of New York is the single largest investor in the world. There's nobody in the world with $130 billion at their disposal just to move around how they want. Now, CalPERS, which is the California retirement, is a bigger fund, but it's managed by a board. Right? The state New York State Retirement Fund is sole trustee. Right? So literally, if you go sit with the Napoli, you be like, yo, here's some money. Right? This is freaking how Hevesy, who, by the way, is a very good friend of mine. I'm very sad that, you know, he got in trouble, but that's how he got in trouble. Yeah. Right? But that money's out there, and we ought to be competing for that money, because when you look at where jobs are going to be created over the next 10 to 15 years, it's going to be in a few areas. It's going to be in what they call the fire industries. Right? Y'all familiar with fire? Finance, insurance, real estate. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
New media, technology, biotech. That's where jobs are going to be created.